na 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 na. Woo! We're back.
I was actually trying to pull up the instrumental for that. Then I remembered we're back on YouTube, so I might not be able to pull that off.
Well, it'll just be muted the entire episode. Welcome back, YouTube. Welcome back to the very strict copyright world that you live in. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this weekend. We were talking about it all last week, especially Friday. As you know, was in Mexico. I got to watch as much as I possibly could. Sunday was, like that getaway day, so I pretty much just tried to get on sports, whatever I could watch. Saturday as well. We pretty much laid low the whole time anyway, but still had to catch up to, some things when I got back. But overall, just happy that we had our first mega weekend. And now, we're into the playoffs here in hockey, so it's just going to get better and better from here. But had a good trip. The flight back was much more uneventful than the flight there, which was good and nice. And I got that hour back too. When you're coming from Baja,
that's right.
You go back to Pacific time, not Mexican Pacific time.
Right.
But glad to be back in my fortress of solitude in the tent. Tyler, how was your weekend?
It was good, man. It was a whole lot of me not doing anything other than staring at screens.
As it should be.
Watched a ton of sports, and when I wasn't watching sports, I actually Saturday night pulled an all-nighter just playing FIFA Pro Clubs. And also discovered another video game coming out tomorrow that looks really fun. It's called Fall Guys. It's basically MXC, the video game, for those that remember that show. It's free if you have PS Plus tomorrow. Xbox, you got to pay for it, so suck it. It was a good weekend. Like I said, just full of watching sports. Glad to see you made it back safe and sound. Seems like you really enjoyed your trip there. Thank you again for broadcasting, bringing the heat to the fans, even though you were on vacation.
I especially, I didn't want to interrupt our very Cal Ripken-esque streak of not missing a show, but with that weekend coming up, I wanted people to have that silver lining. I mean, we were here with you guys in the darkest of dark times. Everything shut down, can't do anything, and always just kind of hanging on to that promise of we're gonna have, if these do come together, and yes, there's speed bumps and there'll be more, but there's gonna be these mega weekends, and we had one, and it was awesome. I don't want to get too much into it because I just didn't want Arsenal to win, but referring to the FA Cup. The most disappointing thing. I mean, it's not like I'm a Chelsea fan. I just don't like Arsenal. But
you heard it here first. Roddy loves Chelsea.
Damn it! But I am a Pulisic fan, and he was well on his way to probably being the player of the game. He scored about 5 minutes into the game, and right after halftime, another awesome breakaway. I mean, he was causing all kinds of problems just running at guys, which I really like the way that he plays because he does have kind of that, the classic, I guess what you would say in the mold of an actually confident American player where he's very direct and he just will run at someone.
Don't have too many of those.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just catch people slipping by just man, they just kept running right at me. Sometimes you don't expect it. It doesn't always work, then you see the way a lot of MLS games are played where they just lump the ball down the field and it's bounces around off 6 people's heads. Or, different things like that. But sometimes the Premier League can get sort of ugly in the, lower echelon teams as well with that. But Pulisic also has, a little guile and actual skill on the ball to complement that. So he has, kind of that same mindset, but also the skills to put him up in that next level. And just pulled his hamstring on a nice breakaway. You could see when he felt it go because he was already But he still tried to get the shot off, and then he just basically collapsed, and he knew his day was over. And then it just sort of unraveled from there. Chelsea had a guy sent off. Aubameyang tacked on another one with a pretty nice goal, and that was pretty much it. So, unfortunately, Arsenal stays in Europe next year because they won the FA Cup. But really good season for Pulisic. I hope this injury thing, I mean, not just this one specifically, but, it is probably the most physical league out there. Maybe the German league. But he he was capable in the German league, so hopefully he can just stay on the field. Chelsea has a pretty good team coming back, and additional people they've been bringing in for next year. So disappointing, but encouraging for the future. I think, it just boggles the mind to think if he would have been healthy and starting all season, because it seemed like he pretty much won over Lampard by the end. He could have been going
took a
for
while, but yeah.
All kinds of different records for an under 22-year-old player. So sky's the limit for him. Just kind of ended on a sour note, but hopefully he's back soon. But that was just my little soccer thing. But we had so much this weekend. A lot of good NBA games. As we said, the presentation on TV in the bubble has been pretty great. As a fan, they've got the video wall. I saw even Paul Pierce appeared on the Celtics video wall. Again, for the players being there on the ground, I'm sure it's a lot weirder than for us, but they've been doing a really good job with that and some good matchups. I'm not a big Rockets fan, but it was kind of funny to see them just sort of slow down the Bucks' coronation yesterday.
Actually playing some defense. That was weird.
Yeah. I'm sure they're not too into it. That won't last.
Although I will say during the game I was checking on Twitter and Reddit. I always like to see what fans have to say about games, and saw a lot of Rocket fans complaining about the Bucks getting too many fouls called on their benefit, which just made me laugh. Like, for real, Rockets fans of all people, you're going to say that? All right,
maybe
sure. Let's go there.
Maybe leave that one alone, Rockets fans. I don't know where you're trying to go with that.
But no, you're right. Like all the games, especially the games they've had on, the late game, the primetime game, they've all been awesome. I mean, I would say all the games minus any games involving the Kings have been great, because the Kings have just looked, other than De'Aaron Fox, the Kings have just looked awful, which I half expected, but was hoping maybe they'd prove me wrong. But no, it's been real fun. I mean, yeah, the Rockets game, of course. I've been shocked looking at the betting lines, like seeing what the over-under on Rockets games is. And I'm like, why would anybody ever bet the under? Like, they go out there with, like, the intent of just, like, smashing whatever that line is.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the scoring has definitely been there. I mean, who was the guy? It's like, I've heard of his name, but honestly, I was kind of like, who does he play for? Oh, he's on the Pacers, the guy that put up, like, 55 points over the weekend.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a lot of just, good basketball, honestly. I mean, just if you want to see some high-scoring, exciting games, the bubble's been there, and they've been doing really well with the testing. So that's just encouraging to me. I mean, baseball, another setback. They had the Cardinals thing, a couple guys opting out, Lorenzo Cain, mysteriously Cespedes, which we'll get into in a little bit.
Oh, God.
But the bubble thing seems to be working pretty well as it pertains to keeping guys safe, and where they can just focus on the games, especially as we're getting closer to, the more high leverage, when it's, now it's important for seeding, or like in the case of the Bucks, trying to clinch that,
right.
And when we get in the playoffs, as long as, the testing thing is still under control and we don't have any big outbreaks, we're going to see some really good games, I think.
Well, I mean, once the second round of the playoffs is when they can actually invite friends and family in, so that's kind of where it's like, ooh, let's see what happens here. A little bit of concern there, but we'll see.
This is a video. I was trying to upload it for you guys, but I couldn't get it in there. But this was, we like to keep you updated on what goes on within the bubble, outside of the actual games being played. And this was Matisse. I posted this. Tobias Harris basically showed up to lunch with a plate that it just looked quite a bit out of place compared to his lunch. I thought this was a pretty funny moment. And his explanation from Tobias. If you're getting any audio on this, let me know.
I can't hear any audio.
Well, basically, he rolls up to the table and he says, today I'm a Memphis Grizzly and also Orlando Magic. So he shows up with all this different food. And that was his conspiracy to pull that off and get better food. So if that is true, big if true.
Yeah, I forgot actually whenever we've done that share screen in the past, the person receiving it hasn't had any audio. So yeah, that was
well, hopefully out there you guys were able to hear that. But try to get the actual video for you. I know the Lakers, which I'm not, they're still good, but LeBron's look a little slow on the uptake, maybe a little pudgy from the quarantine. He kind of saved him there at the very end in the first game, but Lakers might have a little bit of a tough road here as it gets down to the playoffs. But I did see today they are organizing some kind of Madden tournament, which great time to this could be really good for team chemistry. Which I would probably just let LeBron win. Just let him win.
Just do it.
It'll be better for all of us. Or it could just tear them apart.
Little bubble Madden tournament. Let's see where cheese at. See where cheese. Philly cheese.
In the red corner, standing 6'8".
So you've got the big board there as they move forward in the round robin stage, but we'll see. We'll see what happens with that.
At least it's Madden, and it's not like Mario Kart or Monopoly or some game that's known for ruining friendships.
Yeah, definitely have the potential to escalate into physical fights very quickly.
Yeah. But no, actually, I'm glad that you had brought up the how the Lakers looked, and especially that first game, like it. Just saying this as an outsider that doesn't really have a horse in the battle in this case. I almost feel like maybe that win against the Clippers was not to their benefit because the Clippers came out and just looked pissed off in the next game and just absolutely killed it. So I almost wonder if that first game just kind of like, in a sense, woke the Clippers up and kind of, woke up the sleeping giant. I mean, we'll see. Who knows? It's still a long way to go. And especially when you get into the best of 7 series, a lot can happen. But, man, they looked real good in that second game.
And they were very close to winning that first game also. When Paul George hit the 3, I was like, uh-oh, this might not end well.
If it wasn't for 4 guys standing there watching the ball while LeBron charged in on the basket.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens to the Lakers. Could be there's a lot of weirdness, people going into this situation. I know LeBron was a big proponent of trying to push forward with the bubble idea when there was some pushback of Kyrie Irving, like anyone that wants to opt out, you should, because then we have the debate about like, is this the right time to use our platform? And I get it, from both sides. It would be a statement to just totally sit out, but also like many other players that have participated, including LeBron, they've pretty much used all their sideline interviews, post-game interviews to keep the conversation going. So I could see it both ways, but the main thing right now is the games have been very competitive and entertaining. So glad to see that. One thing that is kind of disappointing is, we've talked about it before, Zion left the bubble, then returned. And it's almost like they are just resigned to the fact of, we're not even going to use you. So he's on like a super strict minutes restriction, and the NBA already did this whole thing to basically try to get them into the playoffs however they could. And now it's just kind of like they're not even going to play him.
No, they did let him play 26 minutes today, and he had a pretty big game from what I saw. I think he had 28 points or something like that. So, I mean, they're using him a little bit more today. I almost wonder if Adam Silver, maybe gave them a call and said, like, hey, like, the whole reason you're even here is because of this guy.
We did this for you. Help me out here.
Exactly. So, I mean, maybe that's just conspiracy theories to me, but I definitely believe that a league would do something like that to promote one of their star players.
Real quick, checking in on the comments. Repping No Limit.
Yeah, No Limit. I need to check and see if that BET docu-series has started about that. I think I told you about that. They were doing one on that.
When you told me about that, I was like, you know what? I do want to get a shirt with the old school No Limit jersey. That's what prompted, or the jersey. This is actually a screenshot of the medallion. You can't really tell with the resolution here, but it is diamond studded.
Hell yeah. Dude's out there driving gold tanks on the basketball courts. That's what's up.
That is still one of my favorite music videos of all time. Shaq with the appearance.
Yeah. Oh, man.
But speaking of bubbles, again, we have the NHL come back on Saturday, and they've been playing since then. Some good games there, too. Some kind of shocking results in the case of the Oilers-Blackhawks game that I was able to watch, where they got completely blown off the ice, which, I mean, the Oilers are bunglers, let's face it, but they have finally got, hit on some of these draft picks that they've seemingly had forever, all these high draft picks. You have McDavid, probably the best player in the world right now.
McJesus, you mean?
McJesus, yes, of course. And they have, what's his name, Draisaitl, who's amazing as well.
Yeah.
So, kind of.
I almost wonder if they're gonna. I almost wonder if they're gonna throw. I almost wonder if they're gonna throw this first round so they can get another number 1 pick, possibly.
Yeah, maybe that's what it takes. You know what? We just don't have enough. We don't have enough.
Exactly.
You got to go back to the drawing board and get another high pick. Which, as Callan is always quick to point out, someone in the playoffs will be getting that pick.
That's true. Yeah, no, for the most part, they've been. I mean, of course, it's playoff hockey. The games are always going to be exciting. Like really, when it comes to playoff hockey, you can kind of throw out seedings. Like, it's always the case where it's like, yeah, in theory, the better seed you get, the easier your path will be. But NHL playoffs is just everybody going balls to the wall. Most series typically go 6 or 7 games. A lot of the games come down to the wire too. So it's like playoff hockey. There just really isn't much like it as far as just the intensity and the overall performance of people. It's top to bottom. It's always just absolutely fun. So I've been enjoying the playoffs so far. I mean, to your point, the Oilers dropped puck like I think half an hour ago for if the first game pans out the same way as this one, they're already down 6-0. But we don't know. We don't know that for sure. But no,
I've been 19-0. Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Yeah, exactly. I've been enjoying the playoffs so far, and definitely look forward to that. Keep going. Obviously, it sounds like they're doing a great job with the bubble as well. No reports at all of any positive COVID tests, so they're doing real well as well.
And I did see yesterday, what's his name, Kadri from the Avalanche scored the game-winning goal with 0.01 seconds left. Yeah. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Watching it even on some of the replays, I was like, I don't know, but
I couldn't tell.
And they finally have that overhead shot, the goal line camera, and it does cross with 0.1 seconds. So it's playoff hockey, man. There's nothing like it, like Tyler said.
I asked my guy Kai about it. He said, I can't call it.
Can't call it. But good luck to all the bubbles out there. It seems like you guys have it sort of figured out, keeping everyone in the same place. I know MLS kind of had some problems with teams coming into the bubble. It seemed like that was, as they're winding down their tournament. I think we're in the semifinals or the semifinals right now. But that seems to be working. Baseball, is obviously dealing with a litany of issues as it pertains to having large groups of people traveling around. You had Lorenzo Cain opt out for the season. He's not, like the star key player, but an important veteran on that team. Yeah. Yeah. And he said, I'm going to sit it out. And, from the beginning, I've said anyone wants to sit out, it's up to you.
Whatever reason, you don't got to justify it.
Yeah. And the most bizarre one was obviously Cespedes on the Mets. And this just kind of spiraled really out of control pretty quickly. Basically started off with the Mets just flat out saying, we don't know where he is. So then they actually took it a step further. They sent someone to his hotel room. He was not there. None of his stuff was there. I don't know, as far as this part goes, if this was them kind of just being a little salty or butthurt or whatever. They actually filed a missing persons report. And then come to find out, a little bit later in the day that he has opted out of the season and will not return. I know, Van Wagenen is a little bit of a red ass, shall we say, to put it politely. So I could definitely see him taking that. We got to blow up his spot. We're going to do a missing persons report. And then for a while on Twitter, people were like, "Is he dead?" We don't. It just got totally out of control. But super weird. And now Cespedes is out for the season. Just the whole handling of it was insane to me, for both people, because he just basically ghosted out and didn't tell anyone.
Right. Yeah. It was just super weird. It was. Obviously that first tweet they sent out caused so much concern because, reporters that know Cespedes were kind of like, okay, like what's going on here? Fans are obviously majorly concerned because Cespedes, look, he's a very popular player. He's a fun player to watch. So kind of that first tweet of like, hey, yeah, we don't know where he is. We haven't heard from him. Like, definitely raised some concerns. And it kind of later came out, I don't know how true this is, but there was, talks that he was, pissed off at management, which, sort of being mad at the Wilpons. Really? Wow. What a surprise. But, because he's got, so much of his contract this year is kind of incentive laced, and they were going to be sitting him out because he's batting, 150 with half his at-bats resulting in a strikeout. So he was getting pissed about that. So he's, going to sit. I don't know how true that is. I mean, the man's already made a ton of money.
Oh, he's good. Yeah.
So I don't know how true that is, but like the whole situation, it's just obviously he played it wrong. Like, yeah, you got to notify your employer. Like, yeah, I'm not going to be here. Like, you can at least do that.
Yeah, the classic no call, no show is never a good look wherever you work.
Yeah.
So
but then
obviously,
they obviously kind of made it even worse in the public's eyes of like releasing the statements they did, which, again, thankfully everybody's fine, nothing wrong. But yeah, it was a really weird couple hours on Sunday of like just refreshing Twitter, refreshing Reddit, like, all right, what's going on here? Come on, Passan, give me something. What's going on?
Yeah, like where is he? Like no one, you just can't even call his agent. Like you don't have any other contacts besides, whatever. So that whole thing was very weird, but he gone. And hopefully he's safe and, on his way back home or there already. Cease coming in with the fire. Can't justify it to me if they opt out. They're soft. Well, Cease dropping a napalm on anyone that opts out. All right, well, I got to respect it. Make him say, And also, Cease did send this today. I don't know if this is soft or just weird or whatever, but this is Nelson Cruz in batting practice today with it looks like, I don't know, evil Iron Man or bad guy in Halo or something like that.
Yeah, it's the next Marvel villain.
Yeah, and also based on the comments, apparently this mask could be up to $2,600, which,
oh my God.
I mean, he's obviously a wealthy individual, of course, but I don't think this actually does anything, protection-wise as far as airborne elements. So more just a shocking photo because you still have the Nelson Cruz pipe show.
Oh, for sure.
That's always been there, steroids or not.
That's right. That's a 24/7 gun show there.
This is the Goon Squad. This guy just shows up and like takes your house from you. But yeah, and then we had the Cardinals. I think up to like 18 people now involved with the team or something like that. Tested positive, including I believe 8 players at this point, maybe more. I know the Marlins at least have not had any positive tests since their outbreak, so they are tentatively scheduled to return tomorrow. We'll see. Hopefully nothing goes sideways with that and they can actually resume. But there's just going to be, I know Tyler was saying, I think it was a casino maybe that these guys were alleged to have gone to.
Yeah, so last week, kind of when the story first broke, I remember seeing a tweet from Jerry Hairston, who works with the Dodgers, but he played in the MLB forever, so he's got contacts all over the place. And he said, what I'm hearing from within the organization is that some of the players jumped out to a casino, and that's, that they skipped out of their hotel room and went to a casino, and that's kind of where it was. And then I think it was Jeff Passan confirmed it in a tweet earlier this morning, which if you're gonna jump out and go somewhere, like the casino is probably the worst place to go to as far as like spreading. I mean, like not just being close to, but like the chips are dirty as hell, cards are dirty as hell, coins are dirty as hell. Like
pretty much everything in there is very dirty. I know here in San Diego, as these casinos reopened, they were making a big deal. We're spacing it out, we're sanitizing a lot, but casinos are just dirty. I mean, that's.
Yeah.
In normal times in the free world, to me, part of the charm. I go for the dirt.
Sure. For sure.
But, maybe not the best place to go, or in case of Lou Williams, or allegedly maybe the Marlins, an adult entertainment type situation. Again, not the most sanitary places to go. So just, I don't know. I mean, if we're going to make it all the way through this, and there's not going to be a bubble. Going to have to step back on that a little bit because it takes like 2 guys getting it, then 6, 7, 8
Yeah, the
guys
whole
got
clubhouse has it. Yeah.
because you're still going to be around those guys and traveling with them. So it's going to, tread lightly on some of this stuff. If you guys are doing it, all right, whatever, maybe just at least say to other people like, hey, I was out. Maybe I shouldn't have done it. Maybe I didn't care, whatever. But at least let the other parties interested know before then like half the team gets infected.
Yeah, and this goes back to kind of what we talked about last week is, yeah, we love to shit on Manfred always, but like the players got to take some responsibility here, man. Like you agree, and now you're like, oh no, I'm gonna jump out and go to go somewhere. Like, yeah, I like, believe me, I get it. Like being in your house or your hotel for 3 months is gonna suck, but you chose to do this. You could have opted out, and so like if you're gonna do it, like fucking step up and do it right. Like don't go out and do stupid shit like this. So. It's hopefully it doesn't cost MLB the season. They kind of seem like Manfred seems like he just wants to plow on.
Well, the owners do because there's a huge mega payday if they make it into the playoff TV money.
That's true.
So we saw the fact that, oh yeah, no problem. Like after the very contentious negotiations to even make the season happen, and then they did that in 20 hours. Like, oh yeah, we'll add more playoff teams. So
yeah, exactly.
You could see where they're angling, to get this done and make it happen all the way to sort of save some of the owners, like, little bit of their financial net here. And they're going to keep going as long as they can. But I would just think as a player too, I would just be, for this season, yeah, it's going to suck. But the main thing is keep an eye on that CBA. Like, don't give Manfred any more ammo. He already totally blew it. Like, you had him right there where you wanted him. There's still going to be a grievance. You still have a great grievance. Like, problem with that.
Totally.
But these little slip-ups, it's just going to give him a little more ammo. Like, well, I told him, we agreed on this, blah, blah, blah. So I would just stick it to Manfred and just lay low, play out the season, and just, stay as safe as possible. But guys are going to do what they want to do. Obviously, these are, pretty rich and younger guys. So hopefully we don't see too many more big incidents like this. Maybe, get these out of the way early on as like an example where other managers or GMs can go to their team and be like, look, don't be those guys. Like, we got to tighten this up. Let's just get through this season. Anyone has a chance right now still. I mean, it's such a short season and everyone gets in the playoffs now, apparently. So
right.
just don't mess it up. We might have a chance here if we can just keep our team on the field with the somewhat of our better players.
Yeah, it actually to kind of piggyback off the Cardinals deal here is I did see a tweet earlier that pretty much said that the Field of Dreams game that was scheduled, I believe next week for the Cardinals and White Sox is most likely going to be canceled. The tweet said it's not due to this Cardinals COVID situation, which who knows? I'm sure it played some part in it. But also there's concerns that the field's not going to be ready, which hey, they've only had a year to work on it. And that apparently in Dubuque County, from everything I've been reading online, Dubuque County has seen a pretty steady rise in positive COVID cases because they're being pretty lax about rules and guidelines and masking and all that. Plus, I guess there's also something where I guess if you go out of Chicago for more than 24 hours, when you come back, you have to be in quarantine for 24 hours. So that could be a problem if the White Sox have to get back to their place and then wait, maybe miss a day because they have to abide by those rules. So from what I'm seeing is it looks like they're going to cancel that Field of Dreams game, which, I mean, it sucks. Like, it would have been cool to watch, but I'm sure MLB would much rather do it next year where they can charge, $600 a ticket to sit in some, crappy-ass bleachers and watch this game.
Yeah. So, they've been building that up. They had to move some things around before the season, but we're still doing it, and now they're not doing it. So, and that, could be another thing for Manfred, honestly. Like, oh, well, we just couldn't trust the player. Like, I don't know how they're going to couch it, but
right.
You open yourself up to these possibilities of the owners, like, chipping away, taking little shots. Like, well, you guys, you're messing it up. Like, we can only do so much. We can't control what you do. So
right.
My main thing would always be just stick it to Manfred. try to get some kind
always.
of better CBA in your favor. Like you had all the ammo, now you got a little bit less, but you're still holding most of the cards. So,
for sure.
Just try to be responsible, get over with it. Get through this season, and then just stick it to him at the bargaining table.
Yeah. Yep. Definitely.
Other thing, actually, let's. I did want to talk about this because it's becoming quickly one of the most fascinating things, possibly the most fascinating thing in golf right now. That is the Brooks Koepka Bryson DeChambeau feud, which has been bubbling for quite a while.
Yes,
I know there was another. Well, we'll do some context here. This was over the weekend at the WGC, and DeChambeau, a notorious nitpicker when it comes to. First of all, he's very slow. He plays very slow. He hits it a mile, and then it takes him 20 minutes to hit his next shot. So weird. But pretty funny. We can't play the video of this one because it was only, all I had was copyrighted video. But his ball was in an unfavorable lie, or, depending. I wasn't there, but obviously off the fairway there, as you can see. And he tried to get a relief because he said there was a dangerous animal hole because he saw a couple fire ants and it wouldn't be safe for him to go in after the ball. So this went on for about 4 minutes also, him and the official, which is becoming a thing with DeChambeau, unfortunately, Modesto's favorite son. But, of course, Koepka, in this rivalry that's just heating up by the day, couldn't resist taking a shot at him when he was off the fairway and had this little conversation with his caddy.
There's an ant.
No, I'm just kidding. And of course, they had a great laugh at Bryson's expense there, so that was pretty funny. But the Koepka DeChambeau feud has gone back in different iterations for quite a while. I know there was a pretty good. Again, I think Koepka has the major trophies, so let's not forget that he's got that in his back pocket. Their little social media tiff that kicked off, I believe this was in January when Koepka was on the body issue of ESPN, and then on his Twitch stream, of course, Bryson basically had to take a run at Brooks not having any abs, apparently.
I don't know if his genetics even make him look good, to be honest. I mean, a body issue. He didn't have any abs. I can tell you that. I got some abs. I don't know if that's against regulation here on Twitch, but I would. But I don't think I can.
Just want to let you guys know, I got abs.
I mean, I got abs.
Just so you know. Don't let anybody tell you anything different. I got abs.
But that ended with Koepka again dropping the mic on Bryson when he posted this on his Twitter. You were right, Bryson. I am too short of a six-pack, and threw up the 4 major trophies right in his face. Ooh. So this has been going on for a while. Honestly, I'd like to see this continue. I think this is I mean, golf could always use this, especially as we have a pretty much not totally declined, but you never know what Tiger's going to show up. He's obviously the biggest ratings draw when he's in the hunt on a Sunday, which is just going to be more few and far between based on his health, based on all these other good young golfers that can pretty much do all the same stuff that he could do that aren't afraid of him like the old days. So, hey, the more hateful this rivalry gets, I'm in. And really, I just want to see them get paired up at some point. I think that'd be great.
Oh, that would be so good. No,
and if we could sneak some mics in there, even better, please.
Yeah, like we were kind of talking about this before the show. Like, I don't know if this is a case. Maybe they are just like two really good friends that they had that relationship where it's like, yeah, dude, say whatever you want, I don't care. Or if this is, and I hope this is a real beef. Like, I want a real golf beef. Like, people always, Tiger, Phil, like that's not a beef. That's just two really good guys that are always finishing, top 5 in every tournament. Like they're rich, they like each other. That's not a beef. Like I hope this is legit. Like these two don't like each other. And yes, like you said, maybe on a Sunday on a final round somewhere, it'll probably have to be a major because that's the only thing Koepka shows up for. They get paired up and just like you said, turn the mics on, let whatever they say fly, and just let it go.
Yeah, I think too. I mean, One thing I will say, but again, it seems like Koepka's been pretty much winning at every turn here as far as their feud in social media. When Koepka really had the reputation of like, who is this guy who just shows up and wins all the majors, and his initial defense was, yeah, I'm good at golf, but I don't really pay attention to what a lot of the other guys do. Like that's why I don't do as many events on tour. Like I still want to just have my personal life, whatever. It's becoming pretty clear that he does pay attention to what other people say about him. At least the guy that says the most about him, which would be Bryson in this case, and he always seems to have that little clap back every single time. So please get these two in a group. Hopefully, ideally a Saturday or a Sunday, and let's just see what happens. I want to see some fireworks out there.
Oh yeah, if those two got paired together, that's definitely like, oh, I'm definitely watching this tournament. I normally don't follow golf too hardcore. I don't watch it. Like I'll read about it afterwards, whatever. But that would definitely make me turn on the TV and watch that.
Bring in some of the casuals right now.
There you go. Yes.
We got more sports coming back, but still, you got an opportunity to draw some more people in. Like, oh, what is this? These guys hate each other. All right, I'll watch it.
Exactly. That's how you draw eyes, man. Just good old-fashioned beef.
I mean, going back to the very beginning, early days, and then, there was some like, well, it wasn't that serious, blah, blah, blah. But it started with Koepka. Basically, he just hates anyone that plays slow. Koepka just kind of, he's not like the fastest player, but he just, pretty much goes about it and just keeps it going.
Yeah.
Dipping Kodiak as he goes down the fairway, just going to work. I didn't have that picture here, but it's pretty funny. They caught that, I think that was a couple weeks ago. PG cameras caught that, and they were probably like, dang it. But, and Bryson, besides his, constant bickering with cameramen, rules officials, whatever, he also just plays really slow. So they were always kind of coming to this head. And hopefully, I just want to see more drama here. I want to see this keep going and get saltier and more petty.
Yep, absolutely. No, that'll be the ratings. Outside of Tiger, that's the ratings draw right there.
I mean, if you're talking about a guy's abs or lack thereof on your Twitch stream, it's pretty clear that he's living rent-free in your head. So, and then he came back all jacked up, as we talked about, after the quarantine. And then Brooks immediately posted a GIF of Kenny Powers from Eastbound and Down, his response to steroid allegations, where he basically like shoves the cameraman and doesn't say anything. Yep. Just posted without commentary, like we all knew what that was directed at. So let's go. Let's keep mixing it up. I like this. We did also have some UFC over the weekend, which I think is always a good time to check in with the Fight Doctor. So let's get to it.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening. The heavyweight champion of the world. It's time!
Gets me fired up every time.
So good. It's so good. By the way, Cease, I agree. Salty and petty, that is a good combination.
True. Golf, come on. This is like falling in your lap right now. Play this up. I know it's supposed to be, gentlemanly, whatever. But at a certain point, let's get some eyes on that TV. Let's get these guys grouped up.
Exactly. But, as Ronnie said, we did have a UFC card on Saturday. Didn't get to see much. Didn't really get to see any of the preliminary fights. I was too busy, again, watching everything that was on TV. One thing that I did note is that the announcers did advise that during the preliminary fights there were 8 nut shots. So, nice job, guys. I see that Dick Kick City moved from the Middle East back to the U.S.
Back to the States. Yeah, this seems to be kind of a developing theme with these low blows. So let's keep an eye on that, huh?
But, it was a weird card overall. I mean, beforehand, just in the last few days, there were, I think it was 2 fights that got outright scrapped, like during fight week. Another fighter that just dropped out for whatever reason. And then actually the first fight on the main card, one of the fighters, which was Trevin Giles, on his way walking out to, do the entrance, collapsed. Just collapsed. And the Nevada State Athletic Commission called the fight off. So the first fight of the night didn't even happen on the main card. Obviously, for the fighter's benefit, of course. But I just thought it was weird with all the dropouts and everything. It was definitely a weird card, but the 4 fights I did get to see were enjoyable. Definitely liked them. The main event, which I will, hands in the air, I completely whiffed on and had a nice long text thread with Ronnie over the weekend about my mistake for betting on a fighter whose coach is Edmund Taverdian.
Yeah.
But Derek Brunson kind of, I don't want to say derailed the hype train. That's not the right term, but he definitely kind of,
took some of the shine off.
Yeah, took some of the shine off and put the statement out, I'm not just a gatekeeper. He did beat Edmund Shabazian in the by 3rd round TKO. It was the thing about Edmund Taverdian fighters, his most famous one is Ronda Rousey. But kind of if you look at it, her specialty was judo, which she was a Olympic bronze medalist before she got into MMA, before she hooked up with this guy. And you look at all her fights and it was just, her judo was so good. She beat everybody. She never really got better under him. And, and eventually kind of once women's MMA caught up and those fighters became more well-rounded, obviously the 2 straight knockouts to, end her career. Then you look at a guy like Travis Brown, who was, I think, 11-0-1 before he went to Edmund Taverdian's camp. And then he lost 6 out of his last 8 fights. Now this kid, he finally faces, a more of a legitimate, more well-rounded fighter. Brunson is a Division II champion wrestler. So he's kind of, maybe a little better condition. He can kind of press the action a little bit harder. And Edmund he's a great striker, absolutely phenomenal striker, but that's it. That's his one game. And I think that kind of got exposed when, he wasn't able to kind of work against somebody that could press him. I think this kid, I still think Shabazian could be a great fighter. He's only 22, amazing striker, 11-1, 9 knockouts. But I kind of hope he switches camps, goes to somebody else that can maybe actually help him improve, become more well-rounded. But, that remains to be seen. But, good on Derek Brunson again. He's, he's kind of keeping his position in the top 10. I know he's probably going to want to make one final charge to the championship. I don't know how many more fights he has. I think he's had 28 in his career. So who knows how much more time he really has to be, a legitimate contender. But, he kind of kept his name out there saying, hey, don't completely overlook me just because these young bucks are coming up.
Yeah, and I mean, to your point, like you said, I mean, the kid's young. He definitely he's 22 years old, that's a baby in the fight game. You see these guys just hanging on forever. Still a lot of time to add more wrinkles to his game. But kind of what you were saying, going back to the Ronda Rousey thing, I remember as the division started to catch up with her, and I seem to remember her, basically coming out with the attitude, people think all I do is judo. They think the arm bar is boring, whatever. So I'm really going to focus on my striking and standing and just throwing with people. But that was pretty much the extent of it. It was just she didn't really get better at it. She just stuck with I'm going to try to trade punches with people. And she got beat up. It didn't seem like she actually developed that game. She just mentally was I'm going to prove these people wrong by throwing some punches. And it was just kind of
and then Holly Holm kicked her head off.
Yeah, there was nothing to back it up though. It was just you're just going to try to keep the fight on your feet most of the time, but you're not a better boxer now.
Right. Yeah, it's Edmund Taverdian. He's amongst MMA fans and even fighters and coaches. He's kind of considered a bit of a joke. I don't want to completely demean the guy because he could probably whip my ass in a fight, but I'm not a fighter. I really hope Shabazian kind of goes out, branches out, goes to other camps. But the weird thing about Taverdian is there is this weird loyalty that people in his gym have to him, where they will not leave. Once they go to his gym, they will not leave that gym. And I think it unfortunately could be to the detriment of Shabazian. But again, hopefully he's got a long career ahead of him. Again, only 22, and I hope he doesn't just become. I hope he doesn't just become this guy that's an exciting striker, but if he goes up against a wrestler or a Muay Thai guy, he's gonna get exposed.
If you're in there with just real pros that have a lot of big fights, you got to have some other wrinkles to it. You can't just be really good at one thing. I mean, very rarely. You can do that for a while, but now you're in here with the the big dogs, so you're gonna have to have some more tricks in your bag.
Yeah. A couple of other fights that I wanted to touch on was my boy Vicente Luque over beating Randy Brown by KO with just a nasty knee to the head, and then followed up with a few punches before the fight ended. Luque again came out looking good. He's just a very exciting fighter. You know, the problem with exciting fighters is sometimes that causes them to take a lot of damage, which could shorten careers. But you know, he's a top 10 fighter. I think he's kind of looking for better competition. You know, he got fed a guy that. Randy Brown's a decent fighter, not ready to take on top 10 guys. Luque, you know, hopefully he's going to get some stiffer competition coming up here. But you know, glad to see that he was able to come out with a win. And I did think definitely the fight of the night that I saw was the Bobby Green beating Lando Veneta by unanimous decision. This was a rematch. These two guys fought back in 2017, I think, and it was also fight of the night back then. It was actually a split draw where Veneta was deducted 1 point for illegal knee. But it was, you know, two guys standing, throwing. You know, they did mix it up a little bit. They did throw in, you know, some wrestling, some groundwork, but it was just a lot of fun striking. You know, Bobby Green, he kind of has a history of when fights go to decisions, they usually go against him. But you know, fortunately, his last two fights, this one and the one against Clay Guida, both brought him out on top. You know, not saying he's going to get any title pushes anytime soon. He's a guy I think this was his 37th professional fight, something like that. But you know, again, always good to see a guy. You know, nice to see veterans that haven't lost it that can still come out and perform well and have fun. So, I thought all the four fights that I saw were great. Again, didn't get to see really much of the undercard at all. Saw it was a lot of fights that went the distance. But overall, very fun. And we're moving forward to not this upcoming weekend, but the following weekend. We got the heavyweight title fight between Stipe and DC, the end of the trilogy. So.
Right.
Looking forward to that. You're going to see a lot more hype build up on that in the next couple of weeks.
And I think, yeah, I mean, with the saturation of the amount of events that UFC is putting on right now, you know, you got to have a good showing when your name gets called, when you get picked on one of these cards, just to stay in that mix, because there's so many people getting, you know, not title shots, but big time TV shots where this guy's like, oh, it just become a sensation, or maybe has a good fight, has, you know, some nice like personality on the microphone, and it could just be someone swooping in there. So you got to keep your name out there and have some good performances, because they're just putting on so many events right now that I think it does, for some reason, weirdly brings out a lot of nut shots, but also does bring out some surprisingly good fights that you may not have been expecting going in, because guys are, you know, like, I got to stay in the mix if they're staying in the mix, you know. So not a bad time to be a UFC fan. I would definitely say that. But also, again, back to your point about the main event, any picks on the show by the Fight Doctor are for entertainment purposes only.
That's right.
Please remember that.
Cannot stress that enough. That's a good point that you brought up, though. You know, Dana has said that about in the past with previous fighters, because, you know, especially the last few months, there's been a lot of talk about, you know, fighters' contracts not being enough, and while I agree that they aren't, he did, you know, make the point where fighters are saying, you know, well, I'll sit out my contract, and Dana's saying, like, look, I'm not hurting for fighters right now. Like, I've got a lot of fighters.
Yeah. And that's kind of
regional fighters that will to it.
Yeah, and Dana, you know, when you're in control of the number one promotion, you always got that. Like, well, I'll get someone else that wants to be on ESPN. Then I guess if you don't want to, you know, play by my rules, which at times certainly unfair, but you know, kind of, what are you going to do? You want to be a name, or you want to be like just sitting on the sideline while he finds new guys and girls?
Right, yeah. Sit on the sidelines, you know, wait for your contract to run out, and, you know, hope Bellator comes calling, or, you know, go fight in Japan or Thailand or Russia or something like that. I mean, it's a crappy situation for fighters, but you know, I guess that's the profession you've chosen. That's, you know, you kind of got to deal with what you have.
Yeah, but still, you know, encouraged by what we've been seeing out of the UFC. A lot of good diversions on Saturdays with these fight nights, or even, you know, big pay-per-views and things like that. So keep it up. You know, like we said, it's always going to kind of be, you're dealing with Dana, so, you know, even he could just be in a bad mood and just be a dickhead to you, so it doesn't matter. But
it's true as well.
UFC's been putting some pretty good products out there, so encouraged to see that. But real quick, actually, I want to check and see, because we do have the I guess previously would have been, I guess, sort of the Quarantine Kings Bowl, Dodgers and Padres, even though I'm still a Dodger fan.
5-3
It
Padres.
looks like 5-3 Padres. And would you believe it?
Well, I guess Hedges got a hit.
Hedges with an RBI.
Wow. Oh, my God.
I'm pretty sure Hedges was...
Who pitched to him? He's cut. Get rid of him. Get rid of him, Doc.
Yeah, just cut him. But we do have Joe Kelly in the game, so that's always good to see.
Heads up.
Yeah, watch out. Joe Kelly Fight Club is active. Oh. So,
there was one other bit of news that came out today that I just want to touch on real quick was I guess we can add to the list of things that are back. Add in the XFL is back.
The
again.
XFL may be back. It's back being owned by someone anyway.
Yeah, it was announced today that the purchase of the XFL happened with and one of the co-owners is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who went in with his longtime business partner Danny Garcia. She's the chairwoman of Garcia Companies, TGC Management, and the co-founder of the Rock's production company, $7 Production, as well as Redbird Capital, which I don't know much about them, but I'm assuming they got a ton of money. So yeah, the XFL is back again, which does have me concerned because Ronnie and I do hold the distinguished, interesting piece of trivia that we were at the only XFL championship ever.
That's true. No other show on the Quarantine Network can make that claim that I'm aware of. But we were there for the only title game.
That's
and
right.
That could put this in jeopardy. I don't know what they're going to do. I'm sure even if they do plan on trying to revive this brand again, it's not just going to be, they're not going to show up tomorrow and start playing. This could be like a year, 2 years, 3 years down the road. They have the rights to it now. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with that. But, I always like when The Rock gets involved.
For sure.
You can't be too mad at that. And we'll just see where it goes. I know was it Redbird? I think was the name.
Yeah, Redbird. Yeah.
They do have some financing involved with a lot of NFL owners and teams and things like that too. So
okay.
Not maybe they're angling to again try to form this into some kind of minor league or who knows. But interesting to say the least that someone's still trying to keep this going and values it. I think today was going to be like the bankruptcy auction of the assets and everything like being split out, and then The Rock and his group came in with this deal and just bought it outright. So we'll see what happens, but definitely something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, best of luck to them. I mean, I thought actually this time around the XFL kind of got it right. Like the action on the field was really good. The crowd always seemed really into it. Got a lot of buzz on Twitter whenever there was a game going. So, it was just unfortunate that their re-debut season happened right when COVID struck. So definitely want to say best of luck. I mean, I'm never against more sports going out there, more sports leagues. Give more athletes an opportunity to make a living. So we'll see what happens with it.
It's tough. I mean, any other pro football, you could have the tie and the connection to the NFL. I'm sure even the NFL, a lot of the stuff like Tyler was saying that the XFL did, I mean, the action on the field was pretty good. And some of the more innovative new ideas for rules and like timing things like that, I think were things that you could potentially see in the NFL at some point, a year or two down the road. So definitely intriguing on their part too, to kind of use this as like a proving ground for different things that the fans are enjoying, or maybe speeds up the game or just makes it a little more palatable on TV. But as any kind of startup league or not NFL league, you're just going to pretty much have to take a substantial monetary loss, at least for
the first
3-4 years,
to
make it viable to where your salary structure kind of lines up with how much money you're making. Maybe you kind of increase that connection to the NFL to become sort of like a farm league or development type thing for the rules. But you're going to have to sort of just eat it for a little while as you lose a lot of money. So we'll see what they actually end up doing with this trademark that they have now.
Yep. Well, I do see we are up against it here. So, Ronnie, any last words before we head out for the night?
No, great to be back. Go Dodgers. Obviously, I hope Joe Kelly either hits a guy or starts a brawl, or the Dodgers win, at least. I mean, I'll settle for that. But glad to be back stateside. Thank you guys for watching while I was down in Mexico, trying to make it work with the internet that I had there. And stay tuned. We'll be with you guys again on Wednesday and Friday. Tyler, anything else you got before we get out of here?
Just stick around here on the network. We got book club for TV with Patrice coming up, so that should be starting right about now. But as always, guys, keep the fire.
Keep the fire. We love you, YouTube. We back.
Woo! Woo!
At the buzzer.